First of all, we discuss with the introduction part of the MSDS. Okay, so what do you mean by MSDS? So the full name of MSDS, it means that Material Safety Data Sheet. Okay, it is a document, one type of document that contain information on the potential health effect of exposure to chemicals, then safe working procedure when handling chemical product MSDS, then are to be provided by the supplier with all the deliveries. Okay, then must be accessible to everyone in the workplace, right? Then must be current. Okay, and they must be made available to attending physician in the event of exposure, right? So this is a basic introduction of the MSDS, right? Now, to some definition which is included in this chapter, which is the first is auto ignition temperature. Okay, so what do you mean by auto ignition temperature? It is the lowest temperature at which it is spontaneously ignite in normal atmosphere without an external source of ignition. Okay, it is a one type of lower temperature in a normal temperature without an external source of the ignition. Okay, the second definition, which is a flash point. Okay, it is again lower temperature at which vapor of volatile material will ignite given in an igneous source. Okay, here the external source of igneous and here the volatile material will ignite and this is given in ignition source. Okay, then TWN. Okay, so it is an 8-hour time weighted average. Is the concentration of the average workers can be exposed during the 8 hours work day, day after day, and without a harmful effect. Okay, so TWA, the full name of TWA, it means that time weighted average, right? Okay, then lethal dose 15, LD50, it means that the value of LD50 is for a substance, the dose required to kill half the member of tested population. Okay, so this is a lethal dose 50. Okay, then sub abbreviation is meant that it means that OEL, it means occupational exposure limit. Then PEL, it means that permissible exposure limit. Then TLB, it means that threshold limit value. Then STAL, it is a short term exposure limit. CAS, chemical abstract services. Then OSHA, it means occupational health and safety administration. And WHMIS, it means that workplace hazardous material information systems. Okay, now some pictograms and the sign which is given. Okay, this sign which is, it is a flammable, then combustible, environmental hazard. Okay, then corrosive, then toxic, harmful, health hazard, oxidizing, compressed gases. Okay, this type of sign we'll see in the any chemical industries and any hazardous industries. Okay, for the warning purpose. Then the next one, which is the MSDS information. Okay, so which type of information given by the MSDS? So the first one, which is the section 1, it means that they include the product identification. Okay, section 1, in the section 1 we have information of the product identification. So first of all, the product name and any other common names of the synonyms by which the substance is known, right? Like a name, address, phone number of the manufacturers, then importer or other responsible parties and emergency phone number are given. Okay, then recommended use of the chemical and the any restriction on the use. Okay, this one, first one, which is the product identification. Okay, the second one, which is the hazard identification, it is included in the section 2, right? Okay, the hazard identification, the classification of the chemical, right? Flammable liquid, it is a category 1. Then signal word, it means a danger or a warning. Okay, then hazard statement, the fatal if solved or not, right? Then pictograms, I already explained the pictograms. Then precautionary statement, it means that P10 keep out of the reach of the children, right? So this is the information which is included in the hazard identification, right? Okay, the section 3, which is the composition or information on the ingredients which is included in the any substance, right? So the first one, which is the substance, the chemical name, right? Which type of chemical we are using, then common name and synonyms, okay? Then chemical abstract services number, and the mixtures, it means that same information required for the substance and the chemical name and concentration, exact and the percentage, right? Which type of and how many concentration solution we are using, right? For of all the ingredients which are classified as a health hazard, right? Okay. Then the next one, which is the section 4, first aid measure. Okay. So the necessary first aid instruction by the relevant route of the exposure, like inhalation, then skin and eye contact, and the injection, right? Then description for the most important symptoms or effect, and any symptoms that are acute or delayed. Okay. Then recommendation for immediate medical care and special treatment needed, which is necessary, right? Now the section 5, which is firefighting measure. So the recommendation of suitable existing extinguishing equipment and information about the extinguishing equipment that is not appreciate for a particular situation. Okay. So advice on a specific hazard that develop from the chemical during the fire, such as any hazardous product created when the chemical burns. Okay. Then recommendation on the special protective equipment or precaution for the fighters, right? So this information which is included in the section 5. Okay, the section 6, which is accidental release measure. Okay, so the use of the and protective equipment to prevent the contamination of skin, eye, and the clothing during the cleanup, right? So the emergency procedures, including instruction for the evacuation, consulting expert when needed, and the appropriate protective clothing. Okay. Then methods and material used for the contaminant, for example, covering the drains. Okay. Then cleanup procedures. So these all are included in the section 6. Okay. Then section 7, handling and the storage. So the precaution for the safe handling, including recommendation for the handling, then incompatible chemicals, minimizing the release of the chemical into the environment, and providing advice on a general hygiene practices. Okay. The recommendation on the condition for the safe storage, including any incompatibilities, provide advice on specific storage requirement. Okay. So example like ventilation requirement. Okay, so this is the handling and the storage information. Now next one, which is 9, so the exposure control and personal protection. Okay, it means that PE, PEL, then TLV, OEL, STAL, and any other exposure limit using the recommended by the chemical manufacturers important, right? So the appropriate engineering tool, like use of the local exhaust ventilation or use only in the enclosed system, right? So the recommendation for the personal protective measure is to prevent the exposure to the chemicals, right? So any specific requirement for the PPE, personal protective equipment, or protective clothing or the respirators, like type of the gloves, then materials, and etc. Okay. So this information which is included in the section 9. Okay, the section 10, which is physical and the chemical properties. Okay, so this section include identify physical and chemical properties associated with the substance or a mixture, like appearance of the material, then odor, vapor pressure, vapor density, pH, melting point, solubility, flash point, auto ignition temperature, evaporation, decomposition temperature, then flammability and the viscosity. Okay, so this all are the properties which included in the physical and the chemical properties, and it is section 10. Okay, then 11, which is section X, which is stability and reactivity. It means that the description of the all the specific test data for the chemicals. This data can be for a class or family of the many chemical if such data adequately represent the anticipated hazard of the chemical where it is available, right? And the chemical stability, it means that indication of whether the chemical is stable or unstable under the normal condition, right? Temperature, while its storage and being a handle, right? Okay. And the next one, which is the section lab 12, toxological information. Okay, toxological information includes description of the delay, immediate or chronic effect from the short term and the long term exposure, right? Then the numerical measures of the toxicity, like acute toxicity estimates such as LD50, lethal dose 50. Okay. Then description of these symptoms. This description includes the symptoms associated with the exposure to the chemical, including a substance from the lowest to the most sharp exposure. Okay, so this is the all about the MSDS information and the various section which give the important information, right? Now, the next topic, which is the definition of the fire and the explosion. Okay, what do you mean by fire and what do you mean by explosion? Okay, so the fire is a visible effect of the process of a combustion. It is a special type of chemical reaction. Okay, it occurs between oxygen in the air and some sort of the fuel. The product from the chemical reaction are completely different from the starting material. Okay, so this is the fire. Okay, now come in the explosion. It is the rapid increase in volume and release of energy in the extreme manner, usually with the generation of the high temperature and the release of the gases, right? So, supersonic explosion created by the high explosive, it is known as a detonation and travel via supersonic shockwave. Okay. Now, then subsonic explosion are created by the low explosive through a slower burning process. It is known as a deflagration or a firework, right? Now, the types of the explosion, which is categorized in the 4 types. The first one, which is the mechanical. Okay, so mechanical, in which a high pressure gas produce a physical reaction, vessel failure or rupture of the container, right? So the nature of fluid does not change, like damage to the vessel, right? Okay, then chemical. In the chemical, the generation of the high pressure gas is a result of exothermic reaction resulting from the initiation of the chemical explosive or the fuel gases. Okay, so the rate of the reaction will vary, and when explosive are present on outside, oxidize is not required. For example, combustion of flammable gases. Okay, then vapors of the flammable and combustible liquid, dust or the fires. Then finds the next one, which is the backdraft. It means the smoke, carbon monoxide and the carbon. Okay, the next type, which is the nuclear explosions. It means that it is caused by the man-made devices such as a exploding rocket. Then high quantities of heat and gas are produced as a result of the fusion or fission process, right? Then electrical, it means that it is a high energy electrical arc may generate sufficient heat to cause an explosion, and a common example is found in residential occupancies is that the cover, the electrical panel box has been violently dislodged from the remaining box, and often this has been caused by the lighting strike or any energy, any high energy, etc. So this reaction may or may not result in the subsequent fire, right? So this is the 4 type of explosion. Okay, I hope you all understood about the today's lecture. Thank you for the watching. Thank you.